This is Big Fun, your favorite podcast show. First podcast. We're just gonna see where it goes.
Yeah, maybe we should do a bit of an introduction, perhaps.
Maybe.
That might be.
What do you have in mind for an
I
introduction?
just hello.
Hello
Um,
to the
this
one listener.
yeah, to
Yeah.
me in the future. Uh,
Mm-hmm. And my
this.
mom.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
my dad.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Wow.
Basically, I think it's gonna be a weekly show. We're gonna try to stay as consistent as possible and post every week. This is probably gonna go to a YouTube channel that's dedicated for that. And we're just gonna talk about random topics.
Yes, and we might have a email in the description if you want to send us questions that we can try and help you with life advice in the
Yeah.
next episode.
We're
Send
very
them to those emails.
we're very qualified.
They say it takes 10,000 hours to master something, and I've been alive for more than 10,000 hours. So,
It's true.
master at living.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this podcast is just gonna be. I mean, it's kind of a pilot, I guess. I mean, we know we're gonna do it, but it's still kind of we're just trying it out. So we could start with the first topic. Starting a podcast.
Oh, wow. Is that first topic?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just the thoughts. I was
Oh,
thinking.
okay.
I
Go
was
for it.
thinking. By the way, when we're talking outside of the podcast, we try to keep our thoughts to the podcast because we don't want to spoil them. We want it to be fresh. Um, so I was thinking about just how much it is a trap to start something new and make it really official and make a distinction between your previous life and your quote unquote new life. I feel like because everything needs to be gradual. You know, all the changes you make need to be gradual. And when you make a distinction, let's say you're going to college, right? If you're preparing yourself, like, I'm gonna go to college, this is gonna be a massive change. My life is gonna be turned around. It's, I don't think it's beneficial because chances are the change is not actually that big. And by making the illusion that it's gonna be really big, I feel like you're setting yourself up for possibly failure or disappointment. You know?
Hmm. Well, I mean, this is definitely not going to be very big.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
it's like it's very easy to be like, okay, let's make it as official as possible. Let's plan everything out. But I feel like the best things come gradually, naturally.
yeah, just candidly, just do it. And,
Yeah,
if it works out, it works out.
yeah, exactly. Um, let's see. I was. There is something more I wanted to say about this, but I forget now. Um, I
One
don't know.
thing,
What do you want to talk
yeah,
about? I mean,
about starting a podcast, I've been thinking about how to actually get this out there.
mhm.
Like, how to promote the podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of thinking, I personally don't listen to podcasts that often. Just
Mhm.
not something maybe sometimes when I'm, you know, playing Total War, I'll put on a podcast. But normally I just listen to music. So
Mhm.
I'm not really sure how to go about this. And I feel like just telling people you have a podcast, they're not gonna fucking listen to it.
Right.
They don't
If
care what you have
any,
to
yeah. If
say.
anything, it's like pretentious. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I have a podcast, guys. They, yeah. It kind of. I don't like putting titles like that. It's like, oh, I'm that guy. It's like that guy who just solves Rubik's cube, and that's his life.
yeah, well,
Hmm.
hopefully this will not be our live stream.
Yes. Hope. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the reason we want to do this is just because we find ourselves having pretty, I wouldn't say meaningful, but philosophical conversations, and maybe somebody somewhere, our moms, are gonna enjoy it. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah, maybe they're gonna be disappointed.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? You want to say about starting a podcast?
Starting. No, I think we've just about covered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to just draw out a So we both have topic lists that we're just gonna shoot out um when we're out of stuff to say about the past topic. So do you have anything you wanna give us?
Well, here's something maybe you can help me out. Maybe our listeners can help me out. I've had this sticky note by my bed for the past, I don't know, like couple months. And it says, okay, 9 hyphen TY. And underneath that it says 9 as in no in German, NIEN, space TEA as in T. And underneath that it says make an actual joke. So I think what my idea was that there's a play on words there, like 90 as in the number
Yes.
and 9T as in no T. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what I was trying to go for
Yeah.
and how to
You
make that a
guys,
joke.
you, first of all, to correct you, you said listeners. You mean listener. You listener, you don't know. Nadav's the author for so many horrible jokes, and and he told me that he just wakes up or something in the middle of the night and he writes really stupid stuff that was at the time funny, but is not, like the classic pig wild ham on you.
Oh, pig wild ham on you.
Yeah,
I'm still not sure what that was meant to be.
yeah, I don't
It's
know.
just,
And
you know,
how did you come to there's another joke he made. It's called Prawn Again Christian. If
I didn't make that one.
Oh, you didn't make it? Okay.
No.
Okay. Well,
I stole that from someone
oh,
else.
you
I don't
did
know
maybe.
who.
Okay. What about Okay, and about the hate disease.
Oh, that one I made, yeah.
That one. Okay. By the way, all of these jokes, we're gonna go back on the audio and we're gonna make sure all these jokes are in the description so you can come to appreciate how bad they are.
Oh, I don't know. I think we should leave some of them and just disperse them out throughout the podcast every now and then.
Okay. I guess. Well, just so the listener knows what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, they
Yeah.
could probably look up some of them.
Yeah. Let's see. What was even the topic? Oh yeah, just
90.
your sticky sticky notes. That's right.
Yeah. Good old sticky notes.
Yeah. Let me just open the door for my dog. This is extremely unprofessional.
It is pretty unprofessional. So while I've got you here without Guy around, I figure I'll just tell you a little something.
Okay, I'm back. Dude, this
Oh,
podcast
never
sucks.
mind.
Yeah, the one listener just quit. Man, come on.
Damn.
We had an audience.
That sucks.
Hmm.
That sucks big time.
Is there any burning topic you want to talk about, or do you want to hand it to me? I mean, I don't know.
Well, there is a little thing. So, Curse of the Vampire Coast, a new DLC for Total War Warhammer 2, is coming out soon. November 8th, for those of you who don't know. Total War Warhammer 2 is a game. It's a fun game. We play it. I play it more. And the 4 legendary lords were revealed. The 4 playable characters were revealed last week. And the last one, people got very mad about because it's not a character from the actual lore of Warhammer. It is a character that the developers of Total War, Creative Assembly, have created themselves. And a lot of people got quite angry about that. And I found that hilarious, because the other characters that they included, which, were the characters in the faction that had the most lore about them, were, maybe like a couple passages at the maximum, like a couple sentences, more typically.
Yeah,
It
I don't know how much our listener knows about Warhammer 2. I mean, I don't think we should keep it as a topic for too long, but I do find it pretty funny. And I think every game and every kind of group that subscribes to a certain media has the purists, who are obsessed with everything being up to some imaginary rules.
these gatekeepers, right? But
Yeah.
the funniest thing is that I bet most of them didn't know didn't know most of these characters before
Yeah.
2 weeks ago because
Yeah.
they're all such, minor names.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Honestly,
I just
yeah, I don't care that much as long as it's cool. I mean, I'm not a diehard Warhammer 2 or Warhammer 40K lore fan. Um, but yeah, I don't know. If we could segue this into just talking about game lore.
go for it.
Um, and you know what? Let's talk a little bit about lore in general. We Nadav and I, we talked about this a little bit before, but we kind of kept it in ourselves just for the podcast. Um, I think so. I've been doing a little bit of world building lately, not for a book or anything, just for fun. I just think it's nice. I write too, but I just think it's fun. And I've been in some Discord groups and subreddits, and I find this is gonna sound like I'm an asshole, but many people just have lame worlds. And when you ask them about their worlds, they're like, well, the world was created by the 5th Regiment of the Lizard Folk, who was a part of the cult of Excess, which actually prayed to the sun, but there are two suns. One of them is a god and he's invisible. The other one is the son of the god and he's visible, but only during an eclipse. It's like, first of all, that doesn't make any sense. It's an eclipse, okay?
I like how the sun is invisible.
Yeah, and the world is a vampire. It's like
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this much detail. Okay, your world, when you start explaining it, it needs a hook. It needs something the readers can latch onto. You can't bombard people with information because they're just not gonna care. It's just gonna look like empty information, because what people care about is not how much detail your world has. I don't care if I go to an inn in the city of Mercia, what are the prices for a pigeon pie? I don't care. What I care about is the characters and the ideologies and the concepts that are reflected by a world.
On a similar vein, for any aspiring writers out there, I find that when I read something, and I think a lot of people do this too, it's not just me, I tend to skim passages and focus on the dialogue. If there's big passages between dialogue, I'll kind of read them, but I'm really after that dialogue.
Yeah. You need cool characters to inhibit your world. Otherwise, it's an empty world and it's lame.
And you don't just need cool characters, you need cool characters who you show doing cool things.
Yeah. And they need to represent something. I think if I had I'm trying to think how to define a world as being lame. I think it's just doesn't stand out in any way. Sure, it could have some unique features that I've not seen before, but to not be lame, it needs to be distinguished in its characters. The way the world is viewed and explored, not just the world itself. It's not just about the world, it's about the characters that inhabit it and how I, as a reader, can interact.
I think we might have covered everything on that point, unless you have anything else. But just when you come up with an idea, say it back to yourself, and think, if I wasn't the one who created this, would I care?
Yeah. Yeah. And you may not, but then be like, okay, how can I package this in a newbie safe way that could hook people who don't know anything about my world? And that's the moment people start asking questions, that's the moment you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want a segue of that, or I have a segue if you
Sure,
don't have
yeah,
anything?
go for it.
Yeah. So maybe we could go from world building to role playing.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is like tabletop role playing, which is something I used to do, when I was younger, but I haven't really done it for years, which is a
Yeah,
shame because
me
it's
as well.
it's it's great.
It is very fun. I was thinking of getting back into it in college, but I haven't really had much time
Hmm.
or
Yeah,
a
that's
group.
yeah. In college you don't have much time. In the weekends you do, but other than that, not much.
Even on
Um,
the weekends, there's quite a lot of work to be done.
yeah. So I don't know how much do you know about like role playing systems? I don't know much myself. I just know about D&D 5e.
It's been a long time since I've played D&D. I don't remember which rule
Okay.
system I used.
Okay.
I've played Pathfinder like twice,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
so I'm sort of familiar with those.
Yeah. I'm just gonna start talking about this. I I don't have too much experience with different playing systems, game systems. I've done D&D 5e and some other D&D before, I don't know. But it just like it's fun obviously to play with other people and make your character and stuff. But to me, 5e is just not believable. I feel like that's a big problem. Even when I play games where, well, I don't need every game to be believable, right? But I think there needs to be a certain level of believability, depending on the package. And I think in role play, it's important. So even though I don't have a lot of experience in different game systems, I've actually been working on my own game system, and I haven't told you this though. I've been working on my own game system as I'm working like on my world and doing other stuff.
You've been
And
working on your own game system?
yes, for role play.
I mean that's a massive undertaking. Like
Mm-hmm.
what?
Well, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, you need the rules. You need to make the rules and everything. It is a pretty big undertaking, but I feel like I've been progressing pretty well. The main it's called believable intuitive role play, burp, and I just thought it was a nice name. And as it says, it's supposed to be believable and intuitive, because in D&D 5e you could be a level 500,000 warrior and miss an attack on a downed enemy, which just doesn't make any sense. And you could be a complete novice and sucker punch a massive crab monster and kill it with one punch. You know, it
Yeah,
just
I mean I always found that to be the fun of D&D.
I don't know.
You see.
I don't like that, because if I am playing a character who's like a veteran paladin, level like 15, 25, whatever, I want to be like, I'm not going to miss an attack on an opponent that's in range unless he blocks it or he dodges it. Otherwise, I'm not going to miss. Okay, try it at home. Take a stick. Okay, go to like a door, or I don't know, your family members. Okay, and try to hit them. You are not going to miss. It's
Okay,
not going to happen.
when you say it like that, it sounds stupid, but I'm talking about. I think the fun part of D&D and other role playing games like that is when the game master has to come up with a story reason for your character to miss, right? I think that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
okay, that it is fun, but I feel like the GM coming up with explanations, but I don't like the like how you can miss like that, and I don't like how much random chance plays a role in D&D.
I love that random chance aspect.
Okay, see, that's just different ideologies, and that's
Yeah.
fine. And you know what?
Hmm.
You may enjoy that, and you may enjoy something like burp.
Oh, I'm sure I can enjoy most
Yeah,
things.
you know what? I'm gonna leave a Google Doc in the description. You can take a look. Maybe if you have any opinions on the topic, leave feedback. I don't know. Do whatever you want with it. Maybe try it out. I don't know. I think it mainly what I've been working on the most is the combat system, which is ranged based. So you have different weapons with different ranges and different speeds, and I'm pretty proud of that. It's pretty believable.
Yeah, like give me a couple examples.
What do you mean?
Well, like what are some weapons and like the differences between them?
Okay, let me open up the doc.
I mean, it doesn't have to. You don't have to give me the exact numbers. Just like give me
Okay.
like a.
Um. So, so you have ranges, as I said. So you may have a
Mm-hmm.
spear, and that's going to be long range, right? And you have a short sword, and that's short to very short. The ranges range from, no pun intended, from very short, which is like you're basically hugging the person, to very long, which is outside the reach of a spear. Okay? So
Mm-hmm.
so the spear is long range. You have a short sword that is short to very short range. Okay? Now, the every weapon has an attack speed and a block speed. Okay? So the spear has a very high attack speed. Okay? So you're probably going to be able to hit someone from long range who has a short sword, right? But if he somehow gets close to you and he's in short range, he's going to be able to destroy you. Why? Because this spear has a very slow blocking speed. So it's difficult to explain like this, but if
No,
you
no,
look
it
at the
makes
doc,
sense.
if you look at the doc, everything is going to make sense.
So, like, is very long like ranged weapons?
No, very long is a spear. Ranged weapons, they kind of have their own
You said very long is longer than a spear. Spear is
yes,
long.
yes, yeah. So the ranges for ranged weapons start at very long.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have further than very long.
Yes. So it's a different yeah. So there's the range for melee system, and then a range for ranged weapons. It's not that complicated. It
I
just
mean,
seems so
what
because
kind of ranged weapons are you planning for? Like
bows and
sniper
crossbows.
rifles and stuff?
No, dude, hitting someone with a bow from a very long range in my system is pretty much guaranteed.
Okay, well, very long is not that far.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I need a different system.
Yeah. But what about like throwing knives or like
Yeah,
tomahawks or stuff like that?
I haven't done that yet. I'm planning on doing that.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that like a
Mm-hmm.
blowpipe is
Yeah.
pretty good.
And in my system, I mean, just it's kind of tied to my world, but it doesn't have to. Um, in my system, magic is extremely powerful, right? So you're never actually gonna have a character that's a wizard because that would just be completely broken. You can have characters that use magic, like a paladin who can heat up his lunch with magic, or even push enemies, kind of like the Force. But really, you're not only wizards in the world are gonna be able to use magic because it's so overpowered.
What about healing?
Yeah, I haven't really touched on that. Maybe I'll do it. I don't
I
know.
mean, it's pretty important to have like a healer or support
Yeah.
when you run a
The
party.
point is, you basically have two options. You can make magic extremely powerful, but demanding of a resource, or not that powerful and pretty much you can readily use it. And I don't think neither of them make sense because when you think of a really powerful wizard, you're not thinking about a wizard who creates a massive firestorm and then being like, well, I've exhausted my resources. I'm afraid I must rest before I use another spell. It's like, that's not cool.
But the way I always thought
That's,
about that was that it's tiring. You see, they have to rest, recover their energy.
yes, but a powerful wizard should be powerful.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
are powerful. They can cast that,
shouldn't just use a powerful spell and then be like, well, I must rest now.
but they
Whoops.
can use, so they can use a powerful spell or many weaker spells, whereas a weak wizard can only use like one or two weak spells.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I don't like putting that boundary in Magic. I feel like for me, it's either you know it or you don't know it, and if you know it, you can use it. You know.
Hmm.
That's just my take on it. Doesn't have to be the same for other people. Um, so that was my rule system burp. Again, it's gonna be in the description if you want to check it out.
Burp.
Is there? Yeah, it's a nice name.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like it.
is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, maybe a bit
After
more
that?
on magic. I always kind of like the idea of something like blood magic or something like magic that.
Blood magic.
Well, yeah, magic that like harms the user. right?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's very powerful, but if you
Yes.
use it,
That's interesting. I mean, it's been played out a lot.
it is,
I don't
but
know if I'm. Yeah.
it is
I don't know if
played
it's
out,
gonna.
but it's a good it's good that it's played out because it's a good thing.
Okay. Sure. Um. Do you wanna? Where do you want to segue from this?
Well, this might be a bit more of a serious topic. Um, but I've lately, in like the past week or so, been thinking about how to become a better person. Being a better person. And this came to me because, well, I'll tweak the situation a bit. Basically, I was walking somewhere, and a friend of mine was like driving by and got stopped in traffic and rolled down the window and said hi to me, and I kind of said hi back, and then just kept walking. And it was all right. The whole thing was all right. But I later on I felt kind of bad that I didn't like say something more. Because this is a friend of mine who is very 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 enthusiastic, very energetic.
Yeah.
Likes to do stuff and is always trying to involve me in doing things. And I
Yeah.
felt that I wasn't being too good of a friend. I could have been a better friend. So,
Well. Yeah. Keep going.
yeah, well, I've been thinking about, how to become a better person, how to make yourself more like the person you think you should be or could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if you can blame yourself too much because you were kind of caught off guard, right? But I mean, I'm just I know this is your experience. I'm gonna just kind of relate it to mine. When I came to America, that was like 5 or 4 years ago. I kind of closed myself off to everyone else, and I went through a bunch of different ideologies that I followed. I think freshman year of high school, I was still closed off, and I came to America from Israel, okay, and I had just discovered like the new, it's not very new, but the quote unquote new wave of like atheism, right? So I was that guy who was like, God is bullshit, guys. Yeah, and I think that was because one, I was closed off from everyone else. I was kind of alienated, and second, I was kind of angry, because in Israel, um, Tanakh lessons are mandatory,
They
right?
are, yes.
Yeah, so I was just like
Wait,
angry,
wait. Do you
like I
wanna
was.
explain to the viewers what that might be in case they don't know? Because,
What do you mean?
well, I mean,
Well,
I feel like
well, it's just
most people
it's
might
just
not know,
classes where you study like the Torah and stuff like that, some Jew stuff.
which is it's the Old Testament to people who do not
Yes,
understand.
yes.
Just to them, they know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was just angry, because I felt like I was being tricked or deceived. So I was kind of that asshole for a while. And then I dropped it I don't know when, probably about sophomore year of high school. And I mean, then I was still a little bit closed off, which I think makes sense because it was only my second year in America, basically. And then junior year, I kind of started to open up, and I realized that being nice is one of the best ways to be charismatic, And I don't mean to blow my own sail, but I feel like this experience and in fitting in a new environment has taught me a lot about command and charisma and connecting to people, even when you have probably nothing in common. Okay, the first thing is just to be nice, you know, and don't impose your own opinions or don't feel like you need to tell them who you are and what you're about. Just be nice, and everything is gonna go from there.
Okay, we're gonna have a bit of a divergence, but then we're gonna come back to this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a conversation that I had last summer with some people, and it was about the word nice and how we didn't
Mhm.
like it.
Oh.
Right? I prefer the word kind, you know? Because being nice is good and all, but sometimes, being nice is not what people need from you. They don't need you to be nice. Sometimes people need you to be kind. And
Mm-hmm.
being kind, a lot of it is being nice. But sometimes, the truth is harsh, but it's the truth. And
Yeah.
sometimes it needs to be spoken. And I think being kind is more important than being nice. It might not win you any friends if you're
Yeah.
truly kind, but
I
people
think
who
it's
matter, people
I think it's true.
people who you should associate yourself with, they will notice the difference and they will care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I mean with strangers, you especially in America and the culture and how it is, you don't want to say anything
Yes, it's definitely
that
a nice culture.
yeah, you don't want to say anything that might come off as not nice. You need to super sugarcoat everything you say. But I feel like the way to be a true friend is honesty. And that may not always be nice, but it's always kind,
Yeah.
you know?
Um, and I try to be, but people exhaust me.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot be around people.
I
And
understand.
the more energetic someone is, the more exhausts me just to look at them. You
How do
know?
you hang around me?
Well, I don't. You know, we
Yeah.
just talk. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you're not even that bad. Because you're kind
Oh
of
wow.
cynical and like
Yeah.
you
Well,
you don't
yeah.
act out that
Yeah.
much.
Mm-hmm. I think Americans talk a lot. And obviously this is generalization. If you're American, I'm not saying that's true for who you are. I'm saying where we live, that's kind of the culture. It may not be in individuals, but they just talk a lot and they're loud. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I just don't think it's fun. And being cynical, I don't care what you think about it, but it's fun. You know, hating, and I keep telling this to people, and they're kind of shocked, but hating is really fun. And if you want evidence for this, I don't know why, because you've probably hated before and you know how fun it is, just look at the divide in American politics. It is so much fun to just hate on the other side. It brings us together more than anything else. Think about revolutions in the world, political revolutions. People come together because of their hatred of something. And that is so powerful. I would say more powerful than love for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I think taking a step back from hating stuff, no, I hate it when people, and I don't know if this is true around the world, but I've seen it here, and it's kind of a dodgy part of social interaction. And I say this in schools where people ask very obvious questions they know the answers to, and they play dummy. And they don't do it to gain anything, they do it to feel comfortable. Now, if you're in America, if you've seen this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? People ask questions they know the answers to, they're really obvious questions, really obvious answers, but they still ask them to feel comfortable.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like I could give you an example.
no,
Um,
yeah, go for it.
yeah,
Maybe for
so
people who don't
so
know.
yeah, so let's say um you're making a project for your history class, and people ask and the teacher's like, share a Google Doc with me. Just this is my email, share it with me. And this is a true story. People would just ask, even though most people our age, which is like, I don't know, teenagers and up, they know how to use Google products and they know how to share Google Docs. They've done it before, you know, but they would ask, like, do you want us to share it with you or just give you the link, And they know it doesn't matter, but they ask it for comfort. They take comfort in that they know what the answer is, and the teacher knows that they know what the answer is, but it's just it's an interaction that's made to generate comfort, I think. I know this kind of sounds nebulous, but
No, no,
it's just
I
something that's
understand.
been.
I don't think it's wrong. Um, I think there's a place for it.
I
Like,
just think it's annoying.
well, it can be definitely when you keep seeing it, and it takes up your time when you don't care. But I think I sort of do a similar thing when I go about my day. If I have something important coming up, even if it's just like I have a class coming up, I look at my watch, even though I know what time it is, because I looked at my
Hmm.
watch like a minute ago. I'll still
Yeah.
look at my watch because I don't know, there's something comforting about that reassurance
Hmm.
that yes, I'm on
It's true.
time. I know what
Yeah,
time it is.
I think it's true. But I think in American culture, because of its nature, at least here, it's been overdone. And you will find that people in other cultures will find that very annoying. You like people, quote unquote, it's not what they're really doing, but playing dummy, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Like, and yeah,
better they play dummy than actually be dummy.
I guess. True.
I
All right.
think.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that was that. Do you have anything else on your list, or do you wanna
well,
hand it to
maybe
me? Or...
getting back to being a better person.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Oh,
I don't
what
know
do you
if we
mean?
ever actually.
It's all about me.
Well, no, no, no. Well, maybe if the listeners have a similar thing.
Listener. Yes.
Yeah, the listener. Um, I, I imagine in the future, like even if we do get a bunch of listeners, we're still just gonna refer to them as the listener.
Yes, that could be pretty funny.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about making you a better person.
well, it's hard, right? Because I've thought about this, and usually I think about it, when I'm lying in bed at night, because that's when I like to think. I like to think when I'm lying in bed at night,
Mm-hmm.
and I go through my day and I try to think like how I could have been a better person, or like how I could have been like nicer or kinder, or whatever. And I notice a couple things. Like one, after I'm finished with classes and my work and all that stuff, I kind of hang out in my room mostly. I go on my computer. I kind of do my own kind of thing. And I could instead like text some friends, get together, go out, do something. But that might, I don't know if that would be the better thing. I guess that's what society says is the better thing, the better
Mm-hmm.
person thing to do. But I really don't want to do it. I
Yeah.
just I don't want to do it. That sounds like an awful time to me. Um,
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
maybe not
you,
awful, but like
yeah. Well, I think you need to surround yourself, at least the people you hang out with people who like doing this same stuff. I think is key. And I don't think that if you don't like socializing, I don't think you have to do it. It's not a part of being a better person, I don't think. I think to be a better person, all you need to do is be kind and nice. You don't have to be nice, obviously, but just be kind to other people. You know, I I can't really think of a way of breaking that down, but just
yeah.
yeah,
But
just
it's like society, the society that we live in is based around extroverted, socializing people. You know,
okay,
that that's the kind of behavior that is rewarded. That's just simply how it is.
sure, sure,
You know, um,
yeah,
I don't really mind it because if I need to, I can. I can talk to people. I can spend hours with people, just doing
mm-hmm.
whatever, just talking, just you know, socializing, interacting with people. I'm pretty good at writing emails. I can introduce myself, but I feel bad for the very introverted people who really can't
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
I feel like
Well,
they're
and
being fucked over by society.
that's true, and I think being introverted has been very much romanticized as well as criticized. Because people, it's so popular to say, "Oh yeah, I'm such an intro. I'm so socially awkward," and they're saying this stuff not because that's what they think, and not because they think it's bad, but they're pretending it's bad so people tell them it's not. You know, it's kind of the same thing I was talking about before of playing a dummy. It's just these people, they're just like, oh, I'm so socially awkward, and they keep making self-deprecating jokes, and at a very early point it becomes very annoying. But I do agree with you, yes, that being an extrovert and hanging out with people is generally seen as the healthy thing to do.
And it's not just healthy, like making connections and jobs and
Yeah.
societies all around interacting with other
Yes.
people.
Hmm.
That's just how our society works. And
Yeah.
in my psychology class, when we were doing introversion and extroversion, the teacher like asked who here is like, identifies as an extrovert or introvert. And then she asked, among the introverts, how many of you wish you were an extrovert? And quite a lot of people raised their hands. And then she asked, amongst
Hmm.
the extroverts, how many of you wish you were an introvert? And no one raised their hands.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't.
There's no benefits to being an introvert.
It's true, but I feel like most of us are combinations. We're not
Yes,
just one or the other,
yeah, it is true.
and I think it's important to not be bogged down by a classification. You
Mm.
may be mostly an introvert, but don't be bogged down by that classification. You can still recharge with other people as long as you're doing the right activities and you're with the right people.
And in fact, by thinking of yourself as an introvert, you make yourself more introverted because you
Yes.
think, oh, I'm an introvert, I have to act this way. It's like a
Yeah.
placebo. So,
Yeah. And
you know,
and I think I mean I don't mean to make this all about me, but um coming to America, having to reinstall myself in a social scene. Not that I go out every other night or usually even, just just not mastering, but becoming more adept at social interaction. I've become very aware of how other people feel and what they think at the like when I talk to them by their body language or just by the way they look. I've be, it's a trap, but also it's good because you know when you bore people and you know when you annoy people and you know when people are uncomfortable. So I think it lets me kind of play on that and have smoother social interaction.
mm,
Yeah,
I, mm,
and I understand if the listener is an introvert, you probably don't get what I'm saying at all. But just try to when you're out socializing or speaking to people, try to see how are they reacting. You know, just their body language, because we humans, we're social creatures. We're basically hardwired to understand these things. All you need to do is become aware of them and be like, okay, I've been talking too much. This person wants to talk. Or like, I've been talking of stuff that's too controversial, and this person is just not comfortable. Or this person doesn't even want to talk at all. He's just standing here. So it's just tapping into that part of yourself.
yeah, I get that. But I sometimes find it hard to read people's body languages. I don't do very well with that. Um, I would love it if people were just, blunt. If people just said what they wanted when they wanted it, and we didn't have to go through all this, dancing around the issue. Just tell me up front.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you will find, I'm sure you know this, other cultures do that.
Yes.
It's basically what you described. Yeah. Which if you're American and you've grown up in an American society and you go to a culture like that, you would be like, wow, everyone is freaking rude, you know? But I don't think they take that as rudeness. I think if you talk to them in the way you talk to Americans, they would just think you're wasting their time. They would
Yeah,
be like, okay,
you're being
what are you
rude.
trying to say? Yeah, I know. I know that when my dad runs a company, okay, that has parts in Israel and parts in America, right? And he tells his and there's been some communication issues between the American people and Israeli people. Not like they don't like each other, but just cultural
Differences.
obstacles and
Yeah.
differences. Yes. So he basically told so if you're in America, let's say I want you to make a PowerPoint, you know, Americans are probably not going to say to another person who is at the same power level in the company, make a PowerPoint about this. Like, that just sounds commanding to many Americans. They would say, you should make a PowerPoint like this, you know? And to Israelis, when they hear that, they're like, it's a suggestion. You should make a PowerPoint like this. You don't have to, you know? So the moral of the story is, that he basically told his American employees, tell the Israelis exactly what you want. Trust me, they will not be offended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and it can be very difficult. It can make you uncomfortable for American to do that because you don't feel like it's right, you know, just telling someone what to do. But I think in other cultures it is. So overcoming cultural divides is definitely not something that's easy.
No. And, you know, there's definitely, like, something to be said for tact. Like, tact does have its place. But
Yeah.
I think in
Yeah.
most
Of course.
day-to-day interactions, just get on with it, you know?
All right.
Okay, I think...
Yeah. Any closing thoughts on that? I mean, I don't know.
Just, you know, try to be kind. Try to be a good person. But, you know, don't get hung up on it. You know,
Yeah.
you are who you are. That's just how
You're
it
who
is.
you are. Don't try to fundamentally change yourself. But if you're an introvert, it will be helpful. I'm not saying you have to do this. It will be helpful to try to to develop tools of connecting to other people. It will be helpful in our society. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything you want to talk about next? We have about like 10 minutes left, which is actually quite a while.
Wow. It's not actually that. I mean, we've been talking for 50 minutes, so it's not that much time.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Okay. I mean, is there anything you want to segue into?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about my topic for a while, so.
Okay. Well, we've talked about role playing. I want to see, because I want to kind of keep to as little topics as possible in one podcast, so it's not really all over the place like it is. But I mean, these podcasts, they're not going to be very structured. We're just going to talk. And I'm sure the listener has
realized
noticed
that.
Yes, very
Yeah.
quickly. Let's talk about retro games. Mario, Zelda. I'm going to tell you right now, listener, Nadav, I think
These
that
games are
retro
shit.
games are shit,
Yes.
and everyone knows that they're absolute garbage. There's literally nothing that they do better than their modern game counterparts. Okay, and people look at retro games with rose-tinted glasses, and it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I quite enjoyed some of the old Zelda games, and, you know, the new Zelda games are pretty fun too.
All right,
like
well, okay.
Breath of the
I'll
Wild
just tell you
is
this.
amazing.
I'm biased because I've never found myself into Zelda or into Mario. So, but I just think the retro games, they're just not good. That's the truth. You know, maybe you enjoy them, that's fine, but they're not good games. Compared to the games we have today, they're not.
I mean, I think there's a lot of games back in the day that did quite a lot of things right, and that, you know, people nowadays
Okay.
can learn
Yes.
from and still enjoy. You know,
Yes.
like
They can enjoy it. I'm not saying people can't enjoy it. If you, listener, enjoy retro games, I'm not saying you're wrong objectively, but I am saying that, in my opinion, that is 100% correct, and if you don't agree, you're an infidel. Retro games just don't hold up to the standard. They just don't.
I think there are a couple counterexamples though, and the one that first comes into my head is Dark Souls. Dark Souls 1 is just objectively better than 2 and 3.
I wouldn't call it retro. I don't know how. I'm more talking about like really early, like Mario and Zelda games.
Okay. I mean, like how How old?
I don't know. But you know what? Let's talk about Dark Souls. Are you? I don't. I don't know. I don't know you as a Dark Souls player or I don't want to say fan, but I mean,
I
are
mean,
you
I
into Dark
wouldn't
Souls?
describe myself as a fan, but I've played,
Okay.
my share of Dark
Okay.
Souls.
What do you think about it?
Well,
'Cause
one was a lot of fun.
I have a very strong opinions about Dark Souls.
Oh, oh well, I don't,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
Okay. I think so, and this is 100% subjective. This is my taste. I don't like Dark Souls at all. Now you might say, if you're a Dark Souls gatekeeper, you're a pussy, man. Man up. It's fine to die in games. You just need to get good. And I feel like that's just like the biggest trap in the like Dark Souls community ever, because some people are just not gonna enjoy the Dark Souls game. And I think for me at least, it's because it's really dark. Not in its themes, but just the game itself graphically, it's dark. The animations, they're they're very I don't know how to put it. They're very rigid, you know?
I no,
And
I
it's just
understand. Yeah,
yeah, and I just don't enjoy that. And the combat, I mean, sure, it's fine, but it's not something that I'm like, wow, this is fun. And I think there are people who don't actually enjoy Dark Souls, but they convince themselves in sort of a cognitive dissonance kind of way that they do enjoy the game, even though they don't. And they do it just to gain recognition from other Dark Souls fans. And if you enjoy Dark Souls, that's fine. But recognize that if other people don't enjoy it, it doesn't mean that they're less of a serious gamer than you. It just means they don't like the game. And that's it.
yeah. I think that can go for most games. People have different preferences, and
Yeah.
I am a big fan of Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls,
Yeah. And I
but
think something I know how much you love Skyrim, and I'm gonna let you talk about that if you want. But I'm just gonna say the same reason that in the first time I picked up Skyrim, I dropped it after a few sessions because I just didn't like how 90% of the game is in a cave. And it's kind of the same problem I had with Dark Souls. And generally, I just don't like games which are dark. You're just in a cave and everything and the environment is mostly shadows. And it's just I don't find it's a fun atmosphere, you know.
I do, and Skyrim is my favorite game of all time. I would say that quite easily, but I can recognize its flaws. I know that it's not a perfect game. It's actually, in all honesty, quite a shit game. When you look at all aspects of it, like,
Yeah.
but
The mods can make it very good.
yeah,
But
I have enjoyed Skyrim
yeah.
to a great
I think
extent, and I always come back.
vanilla Skyrim's like I know you're vegan it up, but frozen yogurt. I'm sure you understand. You need to put toppings on it to make it worthwhile. I don't think that's 100% true for frozen yogurt, but you get the idea.
I get it. Yes.
Skyrim, in and of itself, is a pretty bad game.
But
it's not horrible, but it's not amazing.
Yeah.
But the mods make it what it is.
And before you've had any, just vanilla ice cream, before you've had any ice cream, I mean, that shit's good. It's still ice cream.
Yeah.
But then after a while, then you can put more stuff on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you can't go back.
Yep. You can't go back. It's like well, it's not even a comparison. Civilization 5, one of my favorite games ever. Without its DLCs, it's literally not the same game.
It's unplayable.
It's like that's like buying cookies and cream ice cream without cookies. It doesn't make any sense. It's not the same, So yeah, Civ 5, great game.
A lot of enjoyment out of that one.
Yeah, let's see. We have about 4 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Maybe build towards conclusion or something. We don't have to, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we can go into. So one thing that we discussed talking about previously is like this week I learned. So at the end of each podcast, we would each share something that we learned that week. that maybe the viewer would be interested in. And I believe last week I told you, this was not on a podcast, of course, because there was no podcast last week, that mantis shrimps have 6 pupils. I thought that was pretty crazy wild. This week, I learned that the way they discovered that the universe is expanding, is accelerating in its expansion, is they looked at this special type of supernova called a Type 1a, which are like super regular. They almost always act like the same way. And then they looked at, the ratio between the redshift of the wavelength and the seen wavelength, and they calculated the acceleration due to that. And I thought that was very cool. That there are these supernovas, these just, gargantuan explosions of unimaginable, this is a massive fucking star exploding.
Yes.
You can't even
fathom it.
Yeah. But they all, there's these supernovas that all act the same way. To me, that's crazy. Like, we can predict this explosion.
Yeah. It is nuts. I think, what did I learn this week? Well, last week, I learned, I guess this is a daily double today, isn't it? Because you said 2 things. No, I did 2.
Yeah.
Last week I learned, this is for the math nerds, alright? So Raymond's sum. I can never say his name. I'm just going to call him Rayman. Rayman's sum. So you know how you add up squares, not squares, rectangles. So I learned that the way he actually calculated that specifically what the integral is by using a summation equation that basically works as n, the number of rectangles, approaches infinity. And he used the properties of functions to determine what it approaches as it goes to infinity. So he basically made a function of the area where x is the number of rectangles, and he used the summation formula, and he didn't graph it, but he calculated what it converges onto. I just thought that was cool. I never thought of it that way. Second thing, not for math nerds. So box jellyfish, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, turns out that they have 360-degree vision, okay? And they actively hunt. They don't just float around. They are active hunters. And there's still 96% water. I just thought that was insane.
Wait, they have vision?
Yes. And they hunt. And they can swim faster than an Olympic swimmer.
I mean, I knew that jellyfish hunted, but I didn't realize that they could see.
I'm not all of them, but yeah, the box jellyfish. Yeah, I think it has 24 eyes with pupils and retinas.
What?
Don't quote me on the number of eyes, but they do have retinas and pupils, and they can see and they actively hunt. That's crazy.
That isn't. It's a jellyfish.
They're
wow.
at the lowest point of the evolutionary tree, and they do that. That's insane.
They have eyeballs.
Yeah.
That's wow. Okay. Wow. That's pretty mind blowing.
Uh-huh.
I like how it always goes back to an animal with eyes.
Sure. Yeah. We just went over 1 hour, but just to make sure we do get over 1 hour, just to make sure we do, to keep consistent. Is there any last thing that we want to say?
Well, I guess if the listener is a real math nerd, then I recommend checking out this thing called a Fourier series. So basically, you can rewrite any periodic function as a summation of sines and cosines, and that's fucking crazy.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's really wild. Just
that's
any
crazy.
periodic function, even if it's just like a square wave. You can even write a square wave as
that's
sines.
Insane.
Yeah,
that's wild.
It's pretty strange.
Yeah, and I think to close off, if you enjoyed this podcast, just leave a like. I can't tell you how much it helps us because I literally don't know, but I'm sure it helps us.
Yes.
in the enigma that is the YouTube algorithm.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yes, smash that subscribe button. Make sure to leave a like.
And comment.
If you did enjoy
and
and you want to see more, just subscribe. And you know what? if you actually want to see notifications, because I know YouTube doesn't understand what subscribe means, just hit the bell next to the subscribe button and you're gonna get notifications. But we'll just be here every week.
You don't really
know
need
our
to do that.
schedules. It's a simple schedule. So yeah, like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, and you know what? Comment below if you subscribe, and we're gonna give you a shout out in the next podcast or the next podcast, something like that.
Yeah, and if you leave an idea, or if it's kind of private and you want to just email it to the email address, we'll have that in the description. Send us some ideas of things to talk about if you want, and maybe like a question, we'll answer.
Yeah,
or at least we'll try.
We'll try.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna. Yeah. All right. So let's just close it off.
Right.
Thank you. If you made it this far, thank you for listening.
Yeah. How did we make it this far?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. We'll talk at you next week, I guess.
All right. Closing off.
Yeah. Yeah. Closing off. See you.
Ciao.